This year's CES coverage is sponsored by Corsair and eBuyer. PC components weren't hard to find at CES, and after stopping by the Be Quiet and Coolermaster suites, I had plenty to get excited about. We start at Be Quiet as they had two new coolers to talk about, the Darkrock 4 and the Darkrock Pro 4. Both of them are highly efficient air coolers and they promise a quiet and cool system regardless of your choice of processor. The Darkrock 4 uses 6 copper heat pipes and wave contoured fins for efficient cooling, and while there is only one Silent Wings fan provided, mounting is included for a second if so desired. I have to say though that it was the Darkrock Pro 4 that was the real star of the show for me, as the even larger design comes with 2 fans and allows for 3 if that's what you want to do, and it increases the maximum CPU TDP from 200 to 250 watts, with installation about as easy as you could possibly imagine, which is pretty much a stark contrast to the previous generation. The new mounting mechanism simply requires 2 screws to be tightened through the cooler from the top, and the screwdriver that you need even comes provided in the box. Pricing was unannounced, but you can pretty much expect it to be in line with the previous generation, and availability, well, it's going to be here around about Q2, so stay tuned for the channel for some air-cooled builds around about that time that will feature these coolers. If you're eagerly anticipating a new case, however, then you'll be glad to know that Coolermaster sort of went a little bit mad this year at CES, with cases flowing left, right and centre. We start with the big one, as the 500p has had a pretty massive makeover. This M edition sees the acrylic replaced with tempered glass, with an optional mesh slot-in panel if you'd rather go down that route, and it even seems to have wider openings too, which should allow the 200mm fans to truly breathe. I'll reserve my full judgment until I crack a little build together, but this is unquestionably one of the best looking cases I've ever seen, and it looks like it's actually going to have the cooling potential to match too. It's going to be really interesting to see if 200mm actually starts to make a bit of a comeback from other manufacturers as well, because Coolermaster also announced a 200mm liquid cooler that's going to give you great airflow and lower noise. Other case highlights include a mesh version of the 500p, and then a cool little METX chassis that can be spec'd up with tempered glass or opened up with camoed mesh. I'll be bringing you the full range of cases as they release, so stay tuned for some awesome 2018 builds and setups. Speaking of setups though, something that was incredibly cool was the new lighting system from Coolermaster that uses clever software to actually get everything synced up. But it goes beyond just your motherboard, graphics card and even your peripherals to your entire room, so you can hook up some lighting strips to your desk or use the Nanoleaf Aurora and it will all sync together. And the overall effect when you sort of build and layer this up is really astounding. On the peripheral front, Coolermaster were also showing off some new stuff in the M800 range with a new mouse, RGB mouse mat, keyboard and then a headset, all of which are prototypes but they are definitely showing some promise. It should come as no surprise to you by now that I love my Corsair M65 and ROG Gladius 2, as having a sniper button under your thumb is something I've really become accustomed to. The MM830 mouse takes this concept a little bit further though, as it has 4 buttons hidden away on the left hand side with different functions that can be assigned to it, but the clever thing is that the buttons are actually hidden away in a D-pad layout underneath the mouse that allows your thumb to comfortably rest in the centre but then have 4 actions that are easily accessible in those sticky situations. The MK851 keyboard is definitely an interesting concept too, as the keyboard has an analog gaming setting that will turn the W, A, S and D keys into a joystick style input device for precision control when semi-pressing the keys. It was still an early prototype and definitely has a sort of long way to go before it's ready for prime time, but the results did look fairly promising in PUBG. And so with that, I think it's the end of our Coolermaster and Be Quiet coverage, and just generally CES in general. Generally in general, that's not something you should end the video with, but I'm going to go with this anyway. I'm not going to cut this out. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos just like this, and of course for reviews of pretty much everything I've covered. A massive thank you to eBuyer and to Corsair for actually sponsoring this trip and actually allowing it to take place, because if they hadn't paid for the flights, I would still be sitting in this chair. Well, for all you know, I might have filmed this before. I didn't film this before. Regardless, end of the ramble. A massive thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.